Best of r/entitledparents episode 5. Yes, you read the title right. She actually hired one. It's been a while since I posted on her, but some background. TLDR at bottom. My mom is a second grade teacher and there's this one kid in her class. She always lies and starts problems, and the kid always lies on what happens at school to her mom. Cast. M. You guessed entitled mother. EK. Entitled kid. LL. Lunch lady. MM. My mom, the teacher. Anyway, here we go. Haven't done a long story on here, so sorry if it's bad and not formatted correctly. On a Thursday, EK got silent lunch from the reading teacher for refusing to do her work and lying to her mom on what happens in the class. While EK was at silent lunch, she was talking to the person next to her the whole time. The girl she was talking to acted like she didn't hear her because she didn't want to get in more trouble. In comes LL. She is apparently super rude and strict. LL gets super mad at EK and overdoes it a little. MM ends up giving her silent lunch the next day for being rude during it that day. The next day comes around and when it was time for lunch she wouldn't move. EK knew she had silent lunch again and wouldn't leave the class for lunch, holding them for 5 minutes. MM and the class eventually walked away and EK just followed. After that school day, MM got a call from EM and she was mad. EM was furious with how MM gave EK silent lunch again for talking during it. As that was happening, the grandma of the kid called the office as well, complaining just like EM. She was calling MM a liar and other stuff that shouldn't be said on a phone call to a teacher. She ended the conversation with how she was getting a lawyer. MM though it was over, but EM actually got a lawyer. Everyone at school found out and she showed evidence of her getting a lawyer. Like, come on, over something that your kid did that they shouldn't have done. The principal basically said they would take care of it and I'll update you ASAP. TLDR. EM gets a lawyer because my mom gave her a second day of silent lunch because she was talking and being rude during the first day of it. Thank you. Next. So a little backstory. I lost my sister at the age of 12 to a brain tumor after about half a year of my mom caring for her and even keeping her at home because it was clear she would die. So why keep her in a hospital? After she died, my mom got in a really bad depression and simply couldn't take care of me. My parents got separated when I was 10 and had to go into rehab. So I had to live with my father for half a year until she was done. My mom was never a really organized and I have it all together person. Since she, like me, has ADHD, I was in school and had my problems with remembering stuff like homework or signing exams. My dad was more organized. He's a total workaholic and had his stuff pretty much together. My dad has a strong personality. He's narcissistic, greedy when it comes to money, stubborn and extremely strong in arguing. I always wondered why he didn't become a lawyer because he could win pretty much every argument with simple logic and good reasons. I never had a good relationship with him. He was always more like a boss to me than a father figure. He never played outside with me, did dad stuff or anything like that when I was a kid. He always sat on his PC working. So now fast forward to half a year later. He took care of me, helped me remember stuff and generally took care of me. Now I had to decide whether I stay or go back to my mom for the official divorce. It broke my heart to do it, but I stayed with him out of pure common sense. After that decision he left me pretty much on my own. Got me to stop taking Ritalin and stopped looking for me. He worked 24/7. Gave me a little money every month for clothes, my phone bill and other stuff, which was not even close to enough. I haven't bought a real set of clothes for almost 2 years. We often got into arguments and in the 3 years I was with him I learned how to argue with people and pretty much win every argument. This may seem like something good, but believe me, if you do it out of instinct and in topics like love, it's a huge curse and brought me into some pretty bad stuff. Especially because I know a lot of stuff about mental illness and could, without knowing, really abuse someone. I never abused someone physically or mentally, so they had to be fixed. But I was in some situations where I really tried helping someone and kept them with me, even though they just needed time and professional help. Anyway, I am getting off topic. After 2 years with him I've had enough. I didn't feel like living with my father. I felt like I was living with some guy that was employed to look after me. I told him one day that I wanted to go back to my mom. As the guy he is, he wanted to know the reason and I just told him that I feel closer to her and was always a mom child. Of course that wasn't a real reason for him. He wanted to know exactly what was wrong. Out of pure fear and anxiety I just told him some simple stuff. I even made a list with stuff that I didn't like, which took a lot of energy and braveness to do. He read the list and changed most of the stuff half-hearted. I still wanted to go, but he still was refusing to take my wish seriously about my feeling with her, telling me, "That's not a real reason. Do you think a judge will take that as a reason?" I was persisting on it, and he even began telling me stories about my mom and their marriage, that she cheated on him and stuff like that. What kind wants to hear this? I had to ask my fucking mom about her side of the story because I simply had to know her side too if he's telling me this stupid crap. So a year later I just went. My mom moved to a different city, and since I was about to start an apprenticeship that was closer to that city, I just said fuck it, I am outta here. So in summer I packed most my stuff and went back to her, telling my dad that it was for a vacation. Before I did that, my mom took care of everything legal and stuff because of the divorce. I got to a judge which listened to me for an hour and noted everything I said and every reason I told him for going back to her. She talked to her lawyer and etc. So everything was taken care of. Back to where I went to her. My dad had a girlfriend for about 2 years which I really liked and trusted. So I told her that I am not coming back. Well, she instantly betrayed me, which was not a really good way to leave from there. I'm back with her. I am happy, and now comes the actual entitled parent part. The whole divorce and law thing started, and so we got 2 letters. The first one was from the judge that summed up what I told him and listed all the reasons why it's totally understandable that I am going back to her. The list had about 20 points, so everything was fine at that side. The second letter was from my dad's lawyer. In a nutshell, the letter had about 3 pages of stuff written about the child support money and this whole thing. A page about some legal shit, and at the far end was a point where it said, exchange of custody. Below were about 3 sentences that basically said that I had no clear reason to leave him and I was maybe just in a mood. So I had a list from the judge with about a page full of reasons from me that were enough for me to leave him. On the other side, 3 sentences telling me that I am in a mood. I was 15 at this point and way more mature than anyone I knew at my age. That's not even the best part of it. My mom had a trial with that exact judge that listened to me. My father acted like a 3-year-old child that got his toy taken away and basically told the judge that he's completely outraged by this and it was a shady and devious act of me leaving like that, especially because he had no idea that I wanted to go back. He told him one last thing before being interrupted by the judge, which was, I don't want any custody of him. If he wants to come, he should call Emmy and ask Emmy if he can stay. I'm not gonna do anything. Then, the judge, my hero in this whole thing, answered with, Mr. Whatever, you are a grown man and the individual we are talking about is your son. He told you a year before this trial that he wants to go back to his mother, which you refused to take seriously, and to add to it, put him under immense pressure of criticizing you just so you took him serious. You've already lost a child. Are you sure you want to lose a second one? My mom, on the other side, dropped her jaw. I wasn't there to see it, but I wanted to see his face so damn badly after he just got that punch in his face. He contacted me a few months after this and we got back together. I have a healthy relationship with him. Basically because he has no control over me anymore and I can tell him anything with it having no real backlash, except for him maybe shitting on my mom. He's still convinced that she's a complete mess and isn't good for me, and her just telling him to fuck off in a mannered way. I have a little add-on to this. I'm currently 18 years old, so this whole thing ended about 2 years ago. I was on vacation this summer with him and I kinda enjoyed it. Even though I still don't feel like I am his son because I can't do stupid stuff or really have fun with him, except for the occasional joke or weird person that we make fun of. But the worst thing he did on this whole trip was tell me about that time I wanted to go BSCK to her. He told me that he thought I would leave because she influenced me and wanted the money to pay for her new apartment, which she had at that time already, even though she didn't know if I was coming back, so she could afford it. He went on to tell me that he felt betrayed and thought that all this was just about money. I tell him on the regular what happens in my life. Even stuff about my mom that he could easily abuse and use for his own needs or just simply blackmail or whatever. I even told him about my mental health and etc. but shit like this just makes my stomach turn. To add on to this, he regularly paid my mom's child support too late and she had to run after it. The month I got 18, he started paying me that, and since then he never paid it late. If someone has problems with money, it's him, and he does have problems. He makes about 10k a month and somehow still has bills piled up. Edit. Damn, my first silver. Thanks, kind stranger. Thank you. Next. So as a bit of a preamble, my great grandmother is really old, as is my grandmother and grandfather. I haven't gone to a family event for the last 4 or 5 years, because the family event is a 5-hour drive away. The thought of being in a car with my mum guilt tripping, shaming and insulting me was enough to put me off going to the events. But my grandparents have both almost died within the last 2 years. My grandfather had a heart attack and my grandmother had a stroke. I want to see them and go to this event desperately, as it might be my last chance to see them happy and full of life. As much as I hate my mum's guts, I don't think I could live with myself if they died before I saw them again. In short, I want to go to the event with the minimum of problems and the maximum amount of good memories of what might be the last time I ever see my grandparents and great grandmother alive. So please, if anyone can think of anything that might make this work, let me know. Edit 1. I have transport to the event, blessed by the single fathers, but I have no clue what to do at the event itself. Edit 2. Since this seems to be a common question, mum means narcissistic mother, god complex, incomparable level of bloated ego, her farts don't stink. I think everyone knows of someone who fits that description. Thank you. Next. Previously I posted on here about how my adoptive mother's distorted views of our bodies seem to not match up to the reality. I remember also her trying to push me into gaining weight. Hear me out. When I was a kid, I'd keep hearing about how I was big. Morbidly obese, big in her eyes, apparently. She'd tell me every single day that no men would want me. I was just 12, dude, and how no one would love me due to my size. And so, I banned McDonald's or any other fast food crap from my diet. I also told my adoptive mother this. Here's what happened. I think I told her about 15 plus times about not wanting any more fast food because I was growing big, according to her anyway, so I'd like to stop eating junk food. And it seemed like, for a second, she actually listened. No, she listened fuckhole. Every single time, every damn time, I told her to stop buying me a bunch of processed crap so I'd lose weight. She'd buy 2 bags of them the next day. No one else in the house would eat these crap, not even her, and so these things were bought for me obviously. Well, you're on a diet. You don't need these things. Me, why did you buy them then? Just in case you're hungry. Me, okay, I see. This convo took place when she bought 2 boxes of family-size pizzas. Being a spoiled brat that you are, I wouldn't be surprised if you didn't eat them. Me, well, just what the fuck? Why did you buy them? Because you can never keep up the diet anyway. It's too late for you to lose weight anyway. Why deny these things? I ended up eating them anyway. I know, I'm a pig. But one time, I ended up giving these things to the neighbor kid who asked me for them. You fucking brat. Did you know how much I spent on them? Me, well, yeah, like I said, stop buying them. No wonder why I'm in debt. You ungrateful brat. Me, yeah, maybe not buy them next time then. That was the end of it. If I didn't eat, I was a spoiled brat. If I gave them away, I was an ungrateful brat anyhow. She legit tried to fatten me up so I'd be the same size as her, then got upset when I tried to go on a diet after her calling me fatty and names. Also comparing me to my stick-thin cousin. Her Rasputia ass can truly fuck off. Thank you. Next. Lurker here for a couple months. Recalled this after seeing another post back in late August. Didn't have enough karma until recently. The issue spanned over nearly a year with a non-satisfying conclusion. Backstory. Grandpa had 4 kids. His sister had 2. GP saved up an inheritance to be split among his 4 kids, my parent included. Sister asked if he could leave some to her daughters. He agreed and split it evenly between 6. GP passed away about a decade ago. The inheritance doesn't distribute until his sister passes since it was a joint will type of thing. Not quite sure how exactly that works. The sister is in her 90s and has some dementia at her age. Her daughter, in her 40s, goes and convinces her while she's not stable to change the will to go to her and her daughters only, leaving her sister and the original 4 that were supposed to get 1/6 to get nothing. Within a few days of doing this, she had gone and brought in a doctor to declare GP sister mentally unstable. What that means is that since she is now legally declared as not mentally stable, she can't change the will. The daughter now has the entire inheritance, and the other 5 who were supposed to receive a share didn't learn of this until at least a week after she was declared mentally unstable. So of course the 5 led by my parent went on a legal crusade after her for manipulating GP sister to change the will and then turn around and have her declared as unstable. Over the course of most of this year, fighting the decision was not overturned, and the final result came about late July that there was nothing we could do. Everyone in our extended family learned what she did for her own greed and for her daughters and basically exiled her from the family shortly after she had her own mother declared unstable. GP had saved up that inheritance for most of his life so that his children and grandchildren could live life at least a bit easier. He had given some to his nieces out of the kindness of his heart, only to have one of them steal it all for herself. TL. Dr. Grandpa saved up small fortune through life for his 4 kids, gave a portion to his sister's kids to be kind. Years after he passes, one niece gets her mother to change the will and declare her mentally unstable right afterwards. After months of legal battles, it comes to conclusion that we can do nothing as someone declared mentally unstable by the state cannot change their wills. Thank you. Next. Short story. Context. After my divorce years ago, I got a phone on my parents' plan. After some time they let me get a smartphone. Fast forward to about a year ago. I had just moved in with my current GF and her mom and son who had unlimited data. My dad is a data Nazi. He likes to yell at me and my mom for going over the allotted data each can use. So after years of my dad's lectures of data usage, my GF's mom offered me the opportunity to go on Fire Plan Plus. The cell call provider they use had a promo that if you buy a Samsung Galaxy phone you get a free Samsung Smart TV, which was a good deal. So I did that. I gave my mom my new number, to which she passed it on to my dad. So the day I got the phone I had to stop and pick up my new glasses and left my phone in the car with my GF and her mom. I get back to my car and see I had a text and voice message on a phone I had just got. Here is the basic gist of it. Dad, you had a fully paid for smartphone. You could have gone anywhere and got service. Why did you trade it and now you have to pay for a different phone? Thank you. Next. Okay, so we were standing in line behind a mother and her daughter at the customer service counter at a local Walmart. All we wanted to do was get a money order. Here is what we saw. We are going to purchase this bicycle for my daughter, but I want a discount because it is scratched. Keep in mind the scratch is barely even noticeable at all. CS. I am sorry, but I don't see any scratch on it at all, so I can't give you a discount. What do you mean you can't see the scratch? It's right there by the pedals. By this time her daughter was getting embarrassed by her mother's behavior. If you can't authorize a discount, then who can? CS. Let me get my manager. CS goes to get her manager. Embarrassed daughter. Mom, it's okay, let's just leave. No, it's scratched, which means it damaged and they need to give us a discount. The manager arrives and looks a bit confused. Manager, can I help you? Yes. We want to purchase this bicycle for my daughter, but I demand a discount on the price since it's scratched. Manager walks out from behind the counter to inspect the bicycle. Manager, Mom, I don't see any damage to it, so I will not give you a discount. The scratch is right there, pointing at some place near the gears. By this time her poor daughter was more embarrassed and tried to talk her mom out of it. Mom, it's okay, I don't care if it's scratched, let's just leave. No, it is clearly damaged and IWZNT it discounted. To end this, after about 10 more minutes of this, the manager firmly asks the EM to leave and pay full price, to which they left without the bike at all.